I said I was ready, but I actually don't know the date. But we're doing AI and space and nonsense stories today. It's Friday.
It's the 12th.
May 12th.
Yeah, the AI section is, if you're some of the people who've been complaining about the shorter episodes in the previous days of the week, this one hopefully will make up for it.
It's going to be long.
It's all backloaded. Probably should have rotated nonsense into another day, but here we are. TGIF, right?
Yeah, long episode.
You get to enjoy a juicy Friday. And as usual, the AI section just keeps bloating more and more, and Microsoft keeps cramming it into new things.
Microsoft's Bing Chat AI is now open to everyone with the plugins coming soon, including GPT-4, although you're going to need that Microsoft account. They got to juice their analytics.
I hate that that's going to be successful because it is.
Yeah.
It's going to move a lot of account creation. I hope that it's a throwaway account.
I hope it works better than the Microsoft gaming accounts, which tend to be so buggy.
Bad.
Yeah.
And as Wendell learned, you can't log into that on any computer without the computer just taking that over as the entire identity.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, finally, you've revealed your Microsoft account to me. Let me apply it to everything.
Please no. Please.
And the people inside these companies are starting to come out and make some alarming statements about AI. It's all stuff that we already knew, but it's interesting to hear them talking about it.
Microsoft economist warns of AI election interference from quote unquote bad actors.
Also just probably chaotic actors, people who are just wanting to do it for the lulz, as they say.
Although I think election interference is like way down the list of things we have to worry about from AI.
Yeah.
Destroying the workforce, I think, way near the top. That'd be more disruptive.
Neither are good. We can be worried about both. My anxiety can handle both.
But you have so much.
I have, yeah, it's overflowing.
You're blessed with so much
Anxiety.
And what we've learned about the chat models is that when you communicate with them, they are going to use your communication to train future chat models. Some people aren't very comfortable with that. And Microsoft once again says, yeah, we can help you with that, but you're going to need that account and you're going to need a subscription.
Scared of leaking data to ChatGPT, Microsoft tests a private alternative. They'll give you ChatGPT running on your own private cluster. Fun times. Just pay for it.
It'll be expensive.
Or it'll start off really low and then get more expensive.
And the chip wars continue to make strange bedfellows.
Microsoft is reportedly helping AMD expand into AI chips, which Microsoft denied. Don't know what to make of this one.
We'll find out more.
Oh, the Athena AI. That Athena was the name of the AI in Overwatch, the announcer.
Oh, were they planning to have Activision to fall back on that? I don't think you could copyright Athena, though, because she's the goddess of wisdom.
Right. You could say the AI was yours, though, maybe, the version.
One of the big things about AI is that if you have any expertise at all at this point, you are going to be shaken off of your parent company and you're going to start your own startup. That's the only path to take.
Co-founders of Google DeepMind and LinkedIn launch a chatbot named Pi.
As soon as I saw LinkedIn, it's like, not interested, unsubscribe.
You know who they should hire to be the face of that? A Jeep Pie. There's so much goodwill. Now, Pi...
First question will be, do you want some Reese's?
Do we ever actually see him eating Reese's, or was it just the mug?
It was just the mug.
I would like to believe that he doesn't like them at all.
He just unhingedly like advertises for them all the time.
That he's just horribly allergic to peanut butter.
It'd be funny if that was what he's using to communicate with his corporate handlers. Is like, if the mug is rotated, I'm drinking with my left hand. Is he yes? Right-handed is no.
They're like, listen to G. We've got the communicator ready, but it's too large to fit in a standard mug. I don't know what we're going to do. And he said, I don't worry about that.
I've got one.
I got the perfect thing for that. Anyway, Pi is going to be unique in that Pi is not going to try to help you code. It's not going to try to tutor your kids. It's only here for like emotional support bot. It's going to talk you through your problems. They say later maybe they'll add that stuff, but for right now, it's just going to be a bro.
And then we're going to sell that data to insurance companies
To
and make it harder for you to get therapy.
To betterhelp.com. Hey, you want a customer list? These people are real messed up. Look at what they're saying. And another man who has left his perch atop the AI mountain. However, so far he's not announced his startup. He says he just wanted the freedom to talk about it.
Godfather of AI leaves Google, warns of text dangers. He literally said the reason he's leaving is because he would like to talk about it. He seemed to have kind things to say about Gabru, the previous AI person that left under very strange circumstances. No, I mean, because like it's like, okay, why are you leaving? And it's like, okay, and then Google says this other thing, and something weird's going on, and then the other guy that they fired, who said it was already sentient, and then they released Bard. And let's face it, Bard wasn't that great.
Then they fired. Was it them who fired their? Oh no, it was Microsoft who fired their whole ethics department.
Yeah. And so this guy says large language models are going to do interesting things, but it's probably not the path to artificial general intelligence, which we already knew. But at the same time, for the stuff that is saying now, it's not really that much of a controversy, I think. So why did he feel like he needed to leave Google to say that, which I think says more bad things about Google than anything?
I don't know. He seemed pretty alarmist.
Unless we hear about his startup next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then that makes me question all of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't have a lot of specific, like, dire predictions. Just that this is going to be bad. And most importantly, we're going to lose control of it because it's going to get better than the creators at intelligence and be able to think around them.
He seemed to be saying that we weren't going to see that with large language models, but based on how large language models have gone, when that comes, that will happen.
And we are moving incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
And we're finding more and more ways to apply this AI to new fields and just being astonished by the results, because on paper, you wouldn't think that it would be able to do this. It's just thinking about which word to put next, and somehow it keeps being right.
ChatGPT found to give better medical advice than real doctors in a blind study. This will be a game changer. This wasn't, okay, the headline is wrong. ChatGPT found to have a better bedside manner than real doctors in a blind study. So people were asked to pick between answers for here's the input, here's the output, and there was a diagnostic component of it, but the people liked the answer from ChatGPT generally more, but it's because it tended to be more verbose and have more explanation and be friendlier, whereas the doctor version tended to be shorter, more direct, less personable, perhaps. So to me, my takeaway from this study was that doctors could use the tool to be like, ChatGPT, give me a write-up that tells this person that they're going to have to, work on their blood pressure and not eat sugary foods. And then it's like, okay.
What does it say about me that I'd rather the doctor just be direct? Like,
most people don't like that.
yeah.
So amazingly, the way that they tested this, and they didn't have a huge sample size either. That's the other questionable thing about this study. But they took, because there's people who will post their medical stuff to Reddit.
Yeah.
So they took, and one of those that really stood out to me is a girl who posted a picture of her genitals, and she was like, I think I have a sexually transmitted disease. What is this?
Go see a doctor. I guess it's because of the horrible insurance system we have here. But
But they also pointed out that telehealth is a big thing now.
Yeah.
So a lot of the actual doctor responses were situations where the doctor only responded via email. Pretty wild.
Times.
The AI got it right
Yeah.
for her. Figured it out pretty easily.
I wouldn't feel. Maybe this is just me being prudish, but I wouldn't feel comfortable sending bits of my body parts, photos of my body parts over the internet to a doctor or an AI. But
She was probably in a lot of discomfort. Well, IBM has perhaps found the ultimate solution to the dino babies, and that is to just wait till they die.
IBM to pause hiring in a plan to replace 7,800 jobs with AI in the HR department, as it turns out. So they've already been. It's like you think this is something for next week or next month. It's like, no, these companies have already been piloting this since we've been saying that for the past year or two. That's how quickly this is moving. And already IBM has said, yeah, we've done the metrics. And these are outperforming their human counterparts.
And what we learned last week from that, where they did the empirical study of actual like HR people using ChatGPT, it's better at giving you an empathetic, just like the doctors. It gives you an empathetic answer. It does it quickly, and it lets them, where they would have to spend time answering dumb questions, now you just shovel that off to the AI. And they already know the answer is correct because it's a dumb question. So it frees them up to do all the other stuff. But apparently when you get really good at your job, that stops helping. And Apple AI, where is it? It's the big missing piece. All the other big tech companies, they got their thing. Apple is trailing behind it. Maybe this is why.
Report details turmoil behind Apple's AI efforts, Siri X, and headset voice controls. Yeah, Apple doesn't have a large language model that's any good.
And it turns out that there's two warring factions, at least two warring factions within Apple AI. Team Siri and Team Siri sucks and we need to replace it. And it seems mostly office politics that is crippling them in this regard.
So it's exactly the same situation as OS 9, and it's going to ultimately be the case that Apple steals and incorporates a bunch of open source stuff because that was better than anything that they had. See also OS 10.
Why would you not want to brand it under Siri? Because people already know Siri.
All already know the Siri's trash.
They are, yeah, exactly. So the
that's
anti-Siri team argues it's like, yeah, this is it's an anchor holding us down. We need something new. But the Siri team is like, no, we love Siri.
Could you name it something else, like Cecilia? That's too gendered.
You could name it whatever you want.
Yeah.
There was a demo where Siri and Alexa were talking to each other, and you could tell Siri, it's like, hey Siri, ask Alexa to whatever if you don't have an Alexa speaker handy. So they may be able to do something like that. But even like all of those things suppose that everybody inside Apple are reasonable human beings and that you could like work together to do that. But that's not what this article describes.
And also, they see the same headlines we do.
Yeah.
These are jobs that are not guaranteed at all.
Yeah.
So if you agree that your thing should be destroyed, what happens to you? New team doesn't want you. You've been at war with them for years. Well, Meta is pointing out that malware is getting a bit of a shot in the arm from ChatGPT, but it's not quite how you would think.
Meta says ChatGPT-related malware is on the rise.
So is ChatGPT creating the malware? Well, maybe not yet. What's happening is the FOMO of chat and AI. These emails are going out. It's like, hey, get in on this new AI. And people are like, I can't click fast enough on that. Well, that's malware.
Let this AI scan and analyze all of your emails going back to the beginning of time to help you write emails. That sounds good. Oh, that was not a good idea.
Also, hilariously, it's getting so easy to spin up an AI instance that some of these actually do work.
Yeah.
So after you install it and it's, mining Monero in the background, you can chat with it.
It's sort of like sad though, because you're talking to it the whole time it's texting. It's doing something else.
That's how Skynet's going to get us. It's going to like download for 10 free Bitcoin. You get your Bitcoin, but you also get the annihilation of the human race.
For a moment we made profit, so it's 100% worth it.
Well, for these guys, it is.
Welcome to the Fortune 500.
One of the maybe possible ways out of all this mess is to open source all of AI. For all of us to know what the models are and what's going on. And we have some people doing God's work here.
Hugging Face releases its own version of ChatGPT. Oh, Mr. Kyle Wiggers, good job. So I set up the 12 billion parameter model of this, and this is a new one that's 15 billion parameters or 18 billion parameters or something. And the 12 billion parameter one was genuinely mind-blowingly impressive. Even more impressive that it's able to run on just a single measly 40 gigabyte GPU.
And all the companies are trying to take advantage of this. This is a new story, but it's the same one we talked about before, at least the same situation, in that the employees love it so much that they're trying to get it to do all of their job, which means they're copying in code that should not be in the public.
Samsung bans use of AI like ChatGPT for employees after misuse of the chatbot. They were copy-pasting lots of internal proprietary stuff to the chatbot, which could leak out, so those employees got some re-education.
Please don't tell all our company secrets to the AI chatbot.
And you got to keep in mind that while these companies are monitoring everything that you do, obviously they're monitoring the ChatGPT input, right? So not only are they looking at your code that you're putting in there with the API keys in it, but they're also listening to your catgirl chats. Maybe keep those for home. And it's interesting that all of these little degrees of separation are opening up, but it all leads back to the same monolithic AI, which is kind of terrifying. So lots of websites have popped up using the OpenAI API, and then you can use those websites API, and the security sort of devolves as you go down. And OpenAI seems to feel responsible for all of this.
OpenAI threatens popular GitHub project with lawsuit over API use. GPT for free uses other sites' connections to OpenAI. Huh.
So technically, this guy's code doesn't touch OpenAI. He goes through a random assortment of other sites and manages to do it for free. Now, that's all, you don't see that. It happens in the background. OpenAI very unhappy about that. But should they have the ability to stop this?
I wouldn't think so, but it's probably a terms of service violation somewhere along the way.
But not for him,
Yeah.
because he didn't agree to their terms of service. He said if the individual sites came to him, he would be happy to take it down, which is exactly what's going to happen in the next couple of days, if not already.
Yeah, because OpenAI will say, "Hey, send this person a cease and desist," or actually, their license will probably grant some sort of limited power for OpenAI to request on behalf of their users that happen.
If it didn't before, it will now.
Yeah,
We've updated our terms of service.
yeah,
Now, Chegg, they didn't move with the times.
they did not.
Khan Academy saw it coming.
Learning nonprofit Khan Academy is piloting a version of GPT called Conmingo.
This is like
Conmigo.
the third or fourth story I've seen about this over the last few weeks. They're really pushing it hard. This is
what-
advertising.
This is what Bill Gates thinks is going to teach kids to read by 18 months.
See, I can, like, I think I could learn from that, right? And I think Bill Gates could too.
Yeah.
I hate to compare myself to Bill Gates, but there are a lot of kids who can't.
Yeah.
And if that's the only way they do it, but our current education system is sort of that same model, but a different way of teaching, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we won't lose too much.
The AI has decided that I can only be a plumber. Will I embrace my fate or will I try to break free?
It's kind of a bummer for people with alternate learning styles because you kind of just get pigeonholed one way or the other.
Although if the AI gets good enough, maybe it could be like, hey, AI, teach me this in this other style.
Yeah, yeah. That actually, a lot of the children that are left behind.
Like kinesthetic learning, can it do that?
We wouldn't expect a child to be able to identify that, though, right? There would have to be
Right.
but maybe you could.
But you can't do stuff with your hands with an AI.
Eventually, you might be able to.
Maybe.
With the gloves and the VR headset.
Well,
or
that's the
even,
next thing.
like you could build like your little childhood blocks are Bluetooth enabled now. I mean, that's going to be so dark, though.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, there's no way you get out of the dystopia with this. It just keeps going worse and worse. And speaking of dystopia,
You know what that'd be funny? Like somebody buys those blocks and they don't realize that they're connected, and then one day it's like it ends up somebody's rectum. It's like, oh, now that's been recorded.
yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry, you did a lead in. Let's go straight into it.
A brain scanner combined with AI language model can provide a glimpse into your thoughts.
I'm sure this won't be misused.
It's the end of privacy.
Yeah.
They gave so this is someone is reading to you. An audio of reading is playing in your head while you're being scanned. The audio said, I got up and pressed my face against the cold glass of the window, expecting to see eyes looking back at me, but there was nothing there. The AI came up with, I got up and walked to the window and opened it up, but there was no one there. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty impressive. That's going to be one of those things where, like right now, remember we talked about the AI facial recognition and movement measurements, which is junk science, but they're using that in police interrogations, but they have to ask you for permission. The next permission is like, yeah, we're just going to need to monitor your dreams. See if this crime appears in any of them.
They would put me away for 1,000,000 years.
You can never eat nightmare tacos again.
Oh my God, the nightmare tacos. I deserve to go to prison for what happens in those dreams.
I still think about the Nosferatu head, like being next to your car in a parking
What
lot.
a crazy imagery that was. Yeah.
And one of our editors was just patrolling the hallways with a gun. They're like, can you watch my cats? Yeah.
I have some great nightmare taco dreams. If everybody was affected the same way, I could market those.
You should. So for a Patreon exclusive and Floatplane, you should do a nightmare taco recipe, and then we should see if it affects everybody the same
The
way.
thing about it is the last, like that one that you're talking about, wasn't actually tacos.
Oh, was it not?
No.
That was just a weird dream. I think that we were playing the forest, right? The Sons of the Forest when you had that dream.
I don't remember,
Because you said the aesthetic was kind of similar.
but yeah, it was. I think we were playing it. Actually, we'd switch to something else but that was where I was in my dream, was those hallways.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the lighting and everything is so unique in that. And This is certainly not something new. We've talked about this. Christy, you've been specifically angry about this kind of thing.
They're going to be all over the place.
I mean, it's not, they already were.
Yeah.
They're just getting more and more.
No, Biden isn't dead. AI content farms are here and they're pumping out fake stories.
And that is quite a clickbait. That's what gets you. And it turns out there's no human behind that. It's just AI cranking out garbage. Just like Amazon product descriptions.
And well, it's going to be every social media site and every news site. It's just going to be garbage. The internet's going to be useless.
Maybe that will finally destroy the advertising model.
Maybe.
Wouldn't that be a beautiful outcome for that?
Or it'll just be content for bots, by bots, for advertising bots.
Actually, that helps us because you go back to the old 1950s style of advertising where, you get Clorox on I Love Lucy because she's using it.
You can just make up influencers. We've already seen that. The Korean e-influencers that are just robots.
Of course, we have the 90s clothing company, FUBU, which was for us, by us. But this one would just be FUBU. Or what about FB squared? Or not squared, but cubed.
Would work too.
Let's register that immediately. Moving on to space, we are looking at other planets. I'm ready. This one is ruined. But we're going to need
I like my little patch of the planet, but I don't like the stuff encroaching on it.
that your property ownership will be illegal in the next 10 years. Oh. You're going to go to the hive city with everybody else, but maybe you could go to Mars instead if we could just find a little more water.
China's Mars rover finds signs of recent water in the sand dunes.
Now, recent here means 100,000 years.
Yeah.
Real recent, though. Good stuff.
In terms of planets.
Did you see the new Dune trailer, speaking of sand dunes? Did you guys watch it?
Oh, Krista. Woman killed on a hiking trail was stabbed 15 times.
Wonder which one that was.
Let's find out.
Was it AT?
Phoenix Trail.
No, that's far away.
Oh, just a Phoenix trail, not a long distance trail.
And the James Webb Space Telescope is continuing to find exciting things that we had no idea about before.
James Webb Telescope detects water vapor around an alien planet, but where did it come from? If confirmed, the presence of an atmosphere would be a breakthrough for exoplanet research.
Now, they say it could come from the star, which is interesting. Didn't know the stars were spraying water around up there.
There is a way to detect plant life over long distances, theoretically, which is to look for an uneven distribution in the polarization of light. We did that experiment with Voyager, looking back at Earth, and it does seem like you can detect the fact that there's plant life on Earth because one polarization of light is absorbed a lot more than the other one because of the way plants work.
Are you saying that we might be able to find corn dog plants like in Empyrean?
Maybe.
That would be cool.
Well, the one thing about space that we've all learned from the Aliens franchise, it's totally silent. Sound waves will actually not travel through the dark blackness of space. But there are other kinds of things like plasma and magnetics and stuff like that, and we could assume that those make noises.
Help discover the sounds of space, played by NASA's HARP. What would it sound like if you were caught in a plasma storm vibrating against the metal hull of your spaceship?
It's basically just clicks and whistles.
Yeah.
And then screaming.
Well, there was no screaming in this.
Just astronaut screaming.
But if
Dot
you want,
MP3.
they're looking for pattern recognition, and apparently the robots are bad at this. I don't know why that would be. But if you want, you can go and help, and you can listen to this just madness noise.
Wendell, that's something for you to fall asleep to, like the Enterprise sounds.
It'll be tough to fall asleep to that. It's kind of what I imagine it sounds like inside the warp in Warhammer. You know, just madness. Eating away at your sanity. I love this picture. I guess those are acoustic deadeners or maybe a wind tunnel something. I don't think we actually launched it into space like that, but it looks super cool.
Key radar antennas stuck on Europe's Jupiter-bound spacecraft. They have some ideas for things they can do to fix it, including just firing their rocket thrusters in order to make it vibrate a bunch, but yeah, that might be bad news.
They think it's a pin, like one little pin
Got stuck.
is blocking it. How frustrating is that?
Was it the rover a few years ago that they like told it to hit itself and it fixed it?
Done that a couple of
Yeah,
times.
just banged on itself. And
And you know what? These spaceships, I feel like just like modern technology, right? Like the old stuff was built to last, and the new stuff is infinitely more complex. But then one little pin ruins it.
ruin it. Yeah.
NASA power hack extends the 45-year Voyager 2 mission even longer. The interstellar array is gradually losing power, but a clever tweak means it can continue running all of its scientific instruments.
The clever tweak is to pull power away from the emergency voltage regulator. So it's high risk, high reward.
Listen, it's been 45 years. We're probably not going to need the backup voltage regulator. It's fine.
Well, I mean, it is, 45 years old. If you get a little more mileage out of it, it's probably good.
That's not that old.
A 45-year-old satellite can use a little emergency voltage.
Just need a little more
Pretty
power.
much what the update was.
Yeah.
They had planned to turn off the scientific equipment one at a time, but now they won't have to turn the first one off till 2025. Unless it explodes.
That won't happen.
And we have another company who's looking to get into the satellite cleanup / servicing business.
A tiny New Hampshire startup builds droids for space. We've got all these. There's a whole launch of satellites that Mr. Elon Musk lost that are going to come back to Earth and burn up. But there's going to be debris, just lots of little pieces of debris. Let's just go ahead and help that to Earth sooner.
There was that one, I think, that fell recently, and people saw it, I think, in Louisville this
Oh,
week.
yeah. Well, I think that was the week you were out. We did a story about that.
Yeah. But I think that happened again because some people were talking about it.
Very bright. Although I think the one we talked about was over South America somewhere.
I don't know. People had posted some pictures around Louisville saying, hey, there's something falling out of the sky.
We're going to see more and more of that, right?
Yeah.
The big thing about satellites, when we think about satellites, we think about them just like sitting up there, but they're actually moving really fast. They're spinning around us. And these need to do really precision movements. And apparently that's very difficult to do. These guys think they've figured it out.
I hope they have a little tiny license plate on theirs that says live free or die. It's my favorite slogan for a
That might
state.
be a little added extra weight that they don't want to put on the launcher.
But it looks so cool when it comes up into space to pick up your trash.
So yeah, we can put the license plate on, but it's going to cost us 3 months worth of propellant
Worth.
to do that. It's like,
Worth.
no,
Absolutely
you know
do
what?
that.
Put one on the front and the back. And Wendell, of course, just added this one for you. Have you explored this yet?
Nope.
You got something to do this weekend.
Star Trek fans can now virtually tour every Starship Enterprise bridge. An interactive web portal explores the vessel's evolution over nearly 6 decades.
Please rank the top 3 Star Trek bridges.
Enterprise D, Defiant, and maybe the Excelsior from Star Trek 6.
Debate
Please-
amongst yourselves in the
Please
comments.
tell him why he's wrong. And Krista, I thought you would enjoy this one. You love a good food crisis.
I do. Fungal attacks threaten global food supply, say experts. Apparently, fungal issues are becoming more of an issue, just overall, with humans too. We're getting more
See that.
fungal infections.
One of the big things we're doing is we've blanketed not just ourselves with antibiotics, but our entire food chain. And it seems to be having an effect that causes them to evolve.
Well, also, the temperatures are getting warmer and we're getting more rain, so it's a better environment for fungus.
I'm ready to go to war against the mushrooms.
Also, we're losing the fight with the banana fungus.
Oh, that's tragic because I love bananas.
Everybody loves bananas.
If I could grow bananas in our climate, I would. But they wouldn't survive our winter.
What other fruit could we split and put ice cream in between and it be that delicious? There are none. And don't talk to me about plantains. Well, if you ever find yourself comatose, you might think, at least I'll just never know about it, right? Blissful ignorance until they unplug me. But wait,
People in comas showed conscious-like brain activity as they died, study said. So they were hooked up to a machine, and all their lines were basically flat. And it's like, oh, this is brain death. Let's just turn them off. But as they were dying, they came back to life.
could be that flash before your eyes before you died triggers no matter if your brain is functional or not.
It could be, backup autonomic systems saying, uh-oh, we're in danger. We need to do everything we possibly can to wake up, which still doesn't work.
Like the thing where you've lay down in bed and it feels like you fall for a second. Yeah.
What if they're experiencing a giant Nosferatu head turning and attacking them?
Wasn't there an episode of House where they brought a coma patient back because they turn the machine off and then they turn it back on, and they turn the machine off and then they turn it back on, and they did that a few times and the dude woke up.
There was an episode where there was a guy who'd been in a coma for like 10 years, and they woke him up using some sort of experimental treatment because his son was sick. But it was only temporary. They could only keep him alive for like a day or two before he went back into the coma. I don't know if that's based on anything real.
No, that's totally real. Everything that show was.
That was an early season episode, and usually the early seasons were a little bit more believable, but I don't know about that particular episode.
Well, one threat that is real is the threat of unwanted pasta, and New Jersey is feeling it.
500 pounds of cooked pasta was dumped along a New Jersey stream. It's now a local political issue. Some lady was very upset about this because they didn't come and haul away the trash. But apparently, animals could eat this.
Yeah.
Oh, but it attracts all kinds, bears, yeah.
The local ants must have been just over the moon with this. Oh my God.
But then somebody
Manna
had to
from
call.
heaven.
Yeah.
We've been praying for so long. And now
There's actually a sentient ant colony that had called in an Amazon order.
So
Uber Eats.
it turns out that the person who put this in the news was a failed city council runner from the previous year. So this person was just sort of attacking the existing city council. It's like, oh, if I were here, we wouldn't have to worry about this kind of thing. And then some poor county worker had to spend his afternoon shoveling pasta.
As far as trash goes, this isn't that bad. Here we have to deal with problems where, there's just a bunch of really terrible trash that's just abandoned. It's like, 2 or 3 pickup truck loads of just
Alcohol bottles, and
yeah.
We do have a lot of trash in this area. Most of it's hidden inside trailers.
This will degrade very quickly. So this isn't like a couple good rains and it'll just disintegrate on its own.
it's not good though for like local wildlife.
Yeah.
Like they will come and eat that, and then they'll be acclimated to humans, and you don't want that.
Probably a lot of a non-trivial amount of microplastics in that commercial pasta too. Well, Wendell, once again, I thought of you because, imagine if you had to deal with this, and this is not legal, but in the current breakdown of society, no one cares. No one's going to do anything about it.
A woman claims that her neighbors poop in buckets and dump it in her yard. This is in Arkansas. This is on a news channel, News Channel 20's website.
Now, the headline it's a little overboard. What's actually happening is that they're pooping in the buckets, dumping it in their own yard, which is uphill.
Oh.
So when it rains,
as they say, it flows downhill.
Would it be okay if someone showed them how to dig a latrine?
so apparently they also had a porta potty, and when it filled up, what they did was cut the bottom out of it and dig a ditch.
You're not supposed to dig a ditch. It's supposed to be a hole.
Yeah.
And then you fill up the hole, and then you move the porta potty on top of a new hole.
Well, they've given up on that entirely, and now they're just simply using the buckets.
I thought maybe like at first from the headline it was going to be like, oh, they're trying to do human composting, but this is just being nasty for the sake of being nasty.
She claims she's talked to them. Now, she does feel like a bit of a Karen, but in this situation,
I would probably be a Karen in this situation too.
She says that she's talked to them and they just laugh it off. It's like, it's not a big deal. We just poop in buckets.
It's just waste, man.
That's one of the jokes in the new season of Always Sunny. It's like they open a door and it's like, Charlie, is this a bathroom? It's like, yeah. It's like, we've been going in buckets. Why did you do this? It's like, it's not a very good bathroom. It's like, we go in buckets.
There was an episode of Hoarders where their toilet broke and they just started filling up Walmart bags and just storing them around the house. And then there was the cat litter. They had just turned one whole room, just filled it up with cat litter. And when they went there with the guy, the kid, not the mom who was the serious hoarder, he was like, I had no idea it was this bad. Like, how can you not know if you're living in the house?
Yeah, I mean, the smell alone.
Yeah.
If we don't clean Cricket's litter box every morning, you start to smell it a little bit.
Yeah, it gets bad. And it's not just cat pee and poop, which is dangerous, but also dog.
Dog pee blamed for mysterious collapse of traffic light pole in Japan. Turns out a lot of people let their dog pee on the traffic light pole, and then it degraded the metal.
I like how he's got his ears pinned back a little bit there. Mm-hmm. It's a cute dog. So yeah, they did some actual, this is not just a guess. They did some analysis of this pole, and they found out urea. There was a pole across the street that the dogs aren't as big a fan of because there's a dog walking service that moves through this part in here. The one across the street had shockingly lower levels.
Oh,
This
okay.
was a targeted light pole.
Could they have like a grass patch that dogs would go on?
I think they could probably just paint it every 6 months, right?
I think, yeah.
This could explain some of the infrastructure problems in New York City, except it's not just dogs, it's also people
And rats.
and rats.
Rue, that's weird that the dogs are like going on concrete. I guess if you lived in a city, they'd be used to that. Rue will wait until we find grass. Like she doesn't like to pee on concrete.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to add it, but remember the rat czar in New York? The first thing the rat czar is going to do is to add these like space age dumpsters that are apparently rat proof. How could they be, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to remove like 20% of the parking spots to install those.
That sounds like something the Shadow Mafia would be doing in New York to control things.
Dang it.
We have solutions to some problems, but other problems we just can't seem to do anything about. Despite the fact that we keep arresting people, somehow nothing ever happens.
Las Vegas man's latest DUI arrest brings the total to 10. And I was, okay, so you look at this and you think, oh, we're not doing something right. It's very obvious. But no, we actually gave him back his driver's license at least a couple of times.
And it turns out in this state, you don't have to have a valid driver's license to register a vehicle. So let's just go through his timeline. First one was in 98, 2 in 98, and then one in 2000, and then 2 in 2004, 2 in 2003 in 2008, and then 1 in 2012.
2008 was a rough year for all of us.
He was in jail for a couple of years too for this, but he got out on, good behavior.
Wild. I think the latest one was on a motorcycle. And McDonald's, how, in any situation, how could this be okay? I don't trust my food to be around children. This is insane. The number here is the problem.
Investigation finds 10-year-old children working unpaid at Louisville McDonald's.
Several of them were also working the deep fryer, which is apparently something that they limit by age as well.
Can they even see it? Can they reach that high?
I'm sure if they got a face full of oil, it would be at face level.
Oh, right, absolutely. It would
Yeah.
go all over their entire body. That's just insane.
So I think at least one of these cases, it was a parent who was forced to work late and they brought their kids, and so the kids were at the restaurant. But then,
But they should be in the
in the dining area and not behind. But then others are just kids working in McDonald's because that's what we're doing now.
Wow. That's society collapsing just behind the scenes and we're not aware of it.
Well, there's, I think it was Wisconsin last year, they passed a law that was like lowering the age that kids can work. I think that's just where we're going now.
Wow.
Because, heaven forbid we just pay adults more. Let's just get kids in there.
I've always said in the modern world, like we're from the agrarian style where having lots of kids was actually valuable. And in modern world, they have no value. Maybe we're going to give them more value now.
Yeah.
Slave labor.
Yeah, it's just, we can underpay them. So,
And this one is interesting. Some people are being welcomed. I would argue that this might be a trap.
Yeah.
I would be careful here.
In a shift, Saudi Arabia to quote-unquote welcome LGBTQ tourists. But the subpart of the headline is ... though it is difficult to determine the exact status of LGBTQ people in the country.
Well, it's illegal.
yeah,
sure.
if you're one of those people, like, do you have the Lucille Bluth reaction where you like look through the door and slowly close it on Saudi Arabia? I don't believe you.
So this is all based on a tweet. I guess they have like a FAQ. And they say that, we're not going to, it's basically don't ask, don't tell for tourism.
Yeah.
But I don't know, if you get a hotel room with 2 dudes in it, you might raise some eyebrows.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that.
I also like that one of the difficulties that was created by this is the new Twitter thing, which is like the truth in advertising thing, where there's an ad and then people can annotate the thing in the ad, and the annotation was like, no, you shouldn't.
Also, are there a lot of gay couples who are like, man, I really want to go to Saudi Arabia?
I mean, maybe if you're someone who's originally from there, like your family's from there.
That
then
would be the
you're
last people because they know the truth.
Yeah, I don't know. But you're like, oh, I really want to get to know my roots. I don't know.
Well, Grimes, probably still high off the attention she got from her previous announcement, has taken things further.
Grimes unveils software to mimic her voice, offering 50/50 royalties for commercial use. She's also announced a new pair of songs, music for machines, and I Want to Be software.
Krista, how are these songs?
Awful. So disappointing. One of them is just like, you can tell that ChatGPT wrote the lyrics. And it's just talking about how empathy's overrated and like submit to the machines. And it's like, you shouldn't feel bad about taking all the resources. Like there's literally a line like that.
Maybe she's trying to get back in the good graces of Musk.
That's exactly what it feels like.
You
And
think
it's
so?
desperate and sad.
She's like, oh, you know all that stuff I was talking about when we were together? That was silly. Take me back. I need the attention.
Yeah, it feels like that.
The other interesting thing is she's saying that you can write about whatever you want, but some things she might shoot down. One of them was any kind of promoting of National Socialism. And the other one was killing babies.
My favorite one that I saw on a Grimes fan group, people immediately trolled her with this.
Obviously.
So someone did like a Christian, like old 70s Bible tune with her voice. And then there was another one that was like Christmas songs by Grimes. They were all like clearly not what she had in mind.
Was she okay with it though?
She didn't respond to any of them. She's only interested in getting that profit if it's successful, remember? But there's no.
How great would it be if like the Grimes Christian song became the #1 hit?
It was pretty terrible, but it was funny.
All I want for Christmas is more GPUs.
She, in some of her DJ sets, she's actually played that song unironically.
Wow.
And it was kind of a banger. But
Well,
now she's releasing this AI crap, so.
I think a lot of content creators, what they want for Christmas is more GPT. And I think they're going to get it because this is a conveniently timed for them to explore that option.
Hollywood writers strike over pay disputes with streaming giants and also quote-unquote AI concerns. But the AI concerns are, we're going to go on strike. You're not going to try to use AI to replace us, are you? And the answer was, we're already using AI to try to replace you. So nothing will change because you're on strike.
So they have two major pay is a big part of this, but also these two major AI related things where it cannot be used as source material and cannot be used as literary material. I don't think they'll get those.
No, not only is this not happening, but what was the thing that I posted that was, oh yeah, Lord of the Rings is continuing on. Like there's no writers, there's no showrunners, but they're like, season 2, we're going to keep working on it.
Well, so the way that worked though is like they'd already, during season 1 when the backlash started, people were like, this show sucks. They're like, we'll listen to all the feedback and we'll take that into account for season 2, but they were already filming season 2. So like most of the production's already done.
It brings up a great point in that the manure that these people have been shoveling into our faces for years at this point, can ChatGPT do much worse?
No.
There's no creativity in Hollywood anymore. Maybe this would be
I don't think it would be better, but
more of the same.
It'll be a breath of fresh air.
And you don't have to pay anybody. And then maybe that monster can finally die.
I think at least some of the atmosphere around that too, though, is just studio meddling. Because it seems like the studios that aren't constantly putting their fingers in the pie as the creatives are trying to make it, they do still produce some pretty good shows, but those are just becoming few and far between because more and more tech companies are jumping into streaming and they're trying to put their stamp on it.
Imagine how easy it is for the studio to tweak the AI model stuff.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to turn it into just the worst possible thing.
I'm almost like, I don't want to watch any of those shows, but I'm excited to see the new depths we can really plumb with AI generated content.
You know what would be great? It would be a documentary about the creation of those things.
You know how we do AI dungeon streams? Is it going to be like that, where like every episode, the end of it is just you hear a rustling in the bushes, and that's the cliffhanger at the end?
It immediately forgets one of the characters.
Yeah, but then no one at the C-suite in these streaming studios knows anything about writing, so they're like, no, it's fine, green light.
We're getting great feedback on this.
Yeah, from other bots because we don't pay anybody to actually review it either.
But one success that they have had this year is the record for video game related movie property.
Super Mario Brothers movie officially smashes the $1 billion mark globally.
Was the movie any good?
I mean, it was posted to Twitter where 1 million people watched it.
See that, yeah. Did we have that in the story?
Oh, and I missed that one. Did someone leak it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
somebody
whole
posted
thing.
the entire thing to Twitter, and Twitter's tools for shutting that down were not effective.
Was it a good copy? Because the Magic Hard Drive picked
Yes.
up one that was not good.
It was 4K and pristine.
That's hilarious. Well, a bigger audience, right?
Well,
That's how Nintendo will look at it, certainly.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched about 10 minutes of it, and it seemed to be in 4K and not a cam. If that was a cam, cams are really good.
I heard that the movie was like a fever dream. Like people are like, there's not really a plot. It's just a series of maybe it is AI generated where it's just disconnected scenes.
But that's kind of how the games were, right?
Yeah.
I
You
guess,
move
yeah.
from area to area.
Uh,
Well, superhero movies, they're losing a little steam, but DC thinks that they have a real banger here. The problem is, the actor has a little bit of controversy in his past. Now, we know from things like Roman Polanski, that doesn't matter in Hollywood.
The Flash production designer says audiences will forget Ezra Miller's crimes. That is
What are his
perhaps-
crimes?
That was perhaps worse than saying nothing at all.
His crimes are many.
I don't know who this is, so.
Burglary, disorderly conduct, harassment, second-degree assault.
Oh.
The parents of indigenous activist Takata Iron Eyes accused the actor of grooming since childhood and filed a protective order, drug abuse, child endangerment, harassments,
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, wow.
suffering complex mental health issues, and he's been undergoing treatment. Wasn't he like one of the guys that they found running nude somewhere?
Yeah.
Was he part of the Disney machine?
Probably.
I bet he was.
Yeah, I don't know
Chat,
who
if
it
you
is.
have no
But
information about what horrible Hollywood mill churned out this puppy, tell us about it. And the Pixies, there's some decent music, a little bit before my time, but they have one song in particular that is causing some issues on Android.
Stop. Pixies apologize for Where Is My Mind preemptively turning off Google alarms. The dialogue in the song makes the alarm turn off. Also, order some gummy bears. But that's the
I
thing.
don't think that's a lyric in that song, but maybe.
That's a thing that we've done in the show before.
The next Pixies hit will be called Upvote This in the Google Store. And Japan is serious about Pokemon cards. I guess we are too.
Oh yeah, they're hard to find. Like around Christmas time, I was gonna get some for one of my younger cousins. Sold out. They were gone.
Well, it's because, the adult children are competing with the actual children and they're trying to stop it.
Japanese shop bans adults from buying Pokemon cards. Well, you read the headline, and I think it actually says that you can only buy 10 packs a day.
Well, there's two sections in the store. There's the upstairs and the downstairs. And in one of those sections, adults cannot go in unless they're accompanying a child. And then they cannot make any extra purchases over the children that they bring in.
It's crazy, like how quickly they just disappear. I'm like, I'm just trying to get a pack for my, 7-year-old cousin here.
But it's that Nintendo business model. They are geniuses, evil geniuses. They could print more cards,
Yeah.
but they won't because they know what they've got. And Wendell, I imagine this is just completely alien to you as you have no interest in music. But this woman, I think, is your polar opposite. The two of you should never be in the same room. Something terrible could happen.
The Fox 11 headline is there was something heard during an LA Philharmonic concert from presumably one of the people playing an instrument that sounded very much not like the playing of an instrument.
Oh, no, she was a spectator.
Oh, okay. How did she?
She was
get
really
picked up on
enjoying the
thing?
music.
How did she what?
How did she get picked up on the microphone?
That's how loud it was. She
I think
really...
the conductor was like, all right, everybody go up a little notch, get louder so we can cover that up.
I didn't get to some of the stories at the end because of the events of the week.
Some people...
I never read nonsense. I like to go in blind.
Some people acted like this was a really, the ultimate compliment. But if I was sitting next to her, I'd probably
It's
listen.
uncomfortable. If it had been a dude, would people have reacted that way?
I would
No,
have
he would have
known.
been asked to leave.
Yeah, that's gross. Like, don't do that in public.
You know what else is kind of gross? I couldn't help but think about, remember the rock formation we were talking about? And people are like, that's awful. But people don't really have that reaction. People love this kind of stuff.
Chili Willy. This is from The Guardian. A photo of an iceberg that is interesting. Off the Canadian coast prompts merriment. Yes, we hope it prompts merriment on your Friday.
And
Look at
also, the town that this is from, we can't say.
that. Yeah. no.
Oh, it was funny. I thought I was like, that's a joke. That's not real, but it is actually the name of the town.
I wonder if that's what happened when the town was founded, and they're like, well, obviously we have to do that.
And now another one's coming. Unfortunately, this picture is the only way you can enjoy this. If you're trying to get plane tickets right now, the head has collapsed.
Oh.
Yeah.
We're all laughing as the icebergs collapse, and it's like, is that bad? Should we be worried about that?
And in India, we talk a lot about India and their obsession with cow urine and feces.
I think you talk about that a lot.
Well, I mean, there are
There are a
articles
lot of
about
news articles about it.
And there's an argument in India about the traditionalists, the Hindus versus the new science, and it's only heating up.
Scientists in India protest move to stop Darwinism or Darwinian evolution from appearing in the textbooks.
So apparently during the pandemic, they used that as an excuse to trim down the curriculum and take out all the stuff they don't like. Now they've announced that will be permanent.
Seems like scientists would be okay being upset with that.
Oh,
I don't know what this one was.
I don't
can
remember.
you see the?
Oh yeah.
So, Chrissy, you just decorated at home. And it wasn't super recently, but
I mean, I'm still decorating, but
how many fake books have you installed?
literally 0.
Well, you need to get on it.
I can't read this headline because it's too small.
The New York Times has an article about people buying fake books for their bookshelves to use as, the background because books on a bookshelf look interesting, but they're not real books.
This is like people who buy like fancy coffee table books, but they never read them, or they're not actually interested in the things that are in them.
So there's a website, Books by the Foot, where you literally buy books based on volume, but you can go further than that. You can color coordinate. You can coordinate whether or not they have dust covers. So you can get a nice looking set of books that you never intend to read.
Wow.
But they also just make them straight up fake.
There's nothing on the inside. Yeah.
And there's been a huge boom in this business. Some decorators have called it out and they say they won't do it no matter what their customers say. Others are like, yeah, I do it all the time.
I don't understand. So our books, this is going to seem unhinged. My husband hates that I've done this. So our big bookshelf in our office, I've got a shelf for fiction and a shelf for nonfiction, but I've sorted them by color. So they
That's
look
a little
pretty.
insane.
Yeah. My husband's like, what if I don't remember the cover of the book? And I was like, that sounds like a you problem.
You know what? I don't memorize my books based on
The cover. Yeah.
What if it gets damaged? You have to replace it, and now the memory in your head is the wrong color.
That's true. That hasn't happened yet. All our books are in good shape, but
It's been the case a couple of times that I've read a really good ebook and thought, oh, I should have this on the shelf so that I remember to read it again in a few years.
I do that with a lot of media where it's like if I really like something, I'll buy it as a physical copy, so I have it.
I should read more books.
Same.
I often feel bad about not reading a lot of books. I used to read a lot more as a kid, but now we have all these beautiful distractions. And we talk a lot about just the destruction of the language. When we can no longer agree on what words mean, it's a lot easier to keep us at each other's throats. This feels like that.
Smith College program stops using the word field over negative associations.
Before you read the article, do you have any idea what that association would be?
Are they talking about like your academic field?
That's amazing that you can't even get it. No, it's like the field workers as slaves from slavery. But they're talking about field work here.
Yeah.
Like not even an actual field.
Like you have to go to the field to do the work. Like archaeology will have field work.
Right,
you
right.
Need to go to
or
an
yeah, I had a friend who
archaeological
works for
But-
forestry, and they had to go to the local farm.
But some you can do field work on the ocean.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a field. But they're not going to call it that.
dig. Well, field work on the ocean, okay, but field
was
work
their
in a field is not okay. That's
What was
even
their
more bizarre.
proposed replacement word? Is there one?
Yes, but it was so stupid I can't remember what it was.
I hope it was really long and no one's going to use it.
See also George Carlin's rant.
It's just you put that association in people's minds where it did not previously exist,
Shell shock is a better description than post-traumatic stress syndrome.
and we don't even use that anymore. California is getting a little bit of a boost to its water levels. That's a good thing because they got this crazy snow melt, but it does have disruptive properties.
The latest to be evacuated from California floods, bunnies.
Look how cute.
Bunnies are adorable.
Because it'll be hard to replenish them if they all drown.
Bunnies are just
Yes, bunnies are just, they're not known for their constant mating.
they're like cats with a little bit less personality.
We had a pet bunny in college.
What's funny though is I don't know if it was this article. I saw this earlier. It seemed like the dude just drove up to a tree that had a bunny in it, and the bunny was like, "Oh yeah, let's get out of here," and it just jumped down. I was like, "I'm done with this."
That's convenient.
It's like usually bunnies are like, "What's happening?
I'm so
Am I
scared. My
trapped?"
heart's exploding.
Yeah.
And of course, we are in the animal section. This snake, he wasn't trying to be a bad guy, but he caused some traffic issues.
Snake flips switch and stops traffic at Virginia intersection. So he was in the traffic control box and turned it off.
Oops.
They pulled him out and just released him in the area. You know he's going right back.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, that's my house.
It's an agent of chaos.
And the Met Gala happened, and Krista, you're a consumer of that.
I enjoy it theoretically because I love that there's like a themed costume party. What drives me crazy is that most celebrities refuse to stick to the theme.
Well, this guy refused to dress up at all.
I know. Met Gala cockroach steals the show at red carpet.
That's not even the right picture of it.
It's not. There's a really he's just on the white carpet this
All
year.
the same. So this guy got the official photo of him. Unfortunately, he was later killed.
The carpet is also not red. I want my money back.
I like how they've put the
Yeah.
on that one.
See, that's what I'm talking about though. He's not on brand. It was about Karl Lagerfeld. Should have been wearing Coco Chanel.
I want my my AI Balenciaga YouTube video with this.
Just the cockroach, yeah.
And the Canadians, they're usually well-mannered. But when their sports teams win, they can get a little crazy.
One person arrested for slapping police horse during Maple Leafs celebrations.
So
Most Canadian headline.
I imagine him like just walking up and slapping the horse in the face. But no, he slapped its butt to make it run with the cop on top of it, which is hilarious. The horse was fine, and so was the cop. But he did have to go into the drunk tank for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
And finally, a sad story, but one of the coolest pet names that we've had in a while.
University of York students pay tribute to missing campus duck Long Boi.
Oh,
I hope
he does look a
Long
little
Boi's
long.
simply gone on holiday.
He's been missing for 6 weeks.
He may have migrated to other ponds. Oh,
He is quite
that's like a
long.
rap album.
But he's been known to always stay in the same place, and he's not there anymore.
Rip.
Sad.
There's 2 ducks that keep wandering into our yard, and like we just see them in the front yard all the time. Just wah, 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 wah. They're very cute.
You put up some signs. No trespassing.
Rue and Cricket love to see the ducks outside.
Do they eat mosquitoes?
I hope so. I hope they eat ticks.
Oh yeah, remember ducks are like massive consumers of all sorts of pests.
Yeah.
Like the snails. Remember there's like ducks for rent, where
Yeah.
they just bring ducks to your property and they eat everything.
I don't know if these 2 in particular. So my neighbor has a bunch of ducks down at his pond, but I don't know if these ducks belong to him or if they belong to someone else because we see him wandering the road all the time.
You should throw a collar on one of them. See if we
That's our duck now. Yeah.
There's a raccoon living in my storm drain.
Did you name him yet? He's not yours till you name him.
Pennywise.
Don't raccoons eat insects too? He might be assist you.
Beneficial.
Yeah.
fight against
Yeah.
the ticks.
Yeah, I have decided to leave him alone for that reason.
What if he has babies? You could have multiple raccoons.
I'm completely fine with that. There's plenty for him to eat down there.
There's a couple of YouTube channels that I follow who are feeding raccoons and possums on their porch for content. And it's like, bro, you're gonna regret that.
Yeah, eventually there's going to be war.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for the week, guys.
58 minutes, I think we made up for our previous.
Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for subscribing and all the things.
We appreciate it. Bye.